part 2 of our lovely series on 5D Mystic, Functional Adult Enlightenment, having a 3-year-old whole heart that unconditionally loves. So we don't need to review everything that was said in part 1. And in fact, if you don't tune into it, it's okay. I'm going to give you a gist. But every person, every human baby, I am woo-woo lady here. Mystic is woo-woo lady for those who don't do mysticism at all. And I'm good with that. And any 5D person is going to be understanding of why it's important to prioritize scientific methodology and human baby plus star baby stuff. Because that 3-year-old is all of what we begin life with, our implicit memory. So the first 3 years of your life, you and I build implicit memory. Then from 3 years on, we build explicit. So we have remembering specific events with words that we can use. Well, the first 3 years, it's all nonverbal. The first year of your life, the non-verbal part of your brain is the right mode. And it's online. And the left is offline. I believe it comes online by that 1-year mark. And what I remember is that the left mode of our brain begins to develop more by the 2 or 3 year mark, something along those lines. Okay, so this is important because your left mode of the brain is the chit-chatter, and it has functions, and it likes to understand things and breaks it down. The right mode is all about nonverbal. Okay, so I'm not going to do too much of that explaining because there's no need. It's to point out you are a human baby with an embodied brain. That first year of life and the first 7 months particularly are important for your attachment system. It is expecting, attachment researchers will share with you from the category group to the style group. You know, the style is for grown-ups, so they have different studies. They're completely different, but they present attachment. Just one is categories, and it's of you growing up. So your relationship to the caregiver. What's your attachment to the caregiver category? While the styles, it's for the grown-ups that are looking to be in relationships. What can we give each other as adults that can support the attachment style? And then obviously you're moving. You want to move to secure attachment. And as I was, in fact, pointing out, 3-year-olds that have whole hearts, we are our own gurus, our own Purusha Prakriti, because we don't disconnect from the ability to have our left and right be friends and work together. Because when sensations come up, we stay connected to our emotional body. The first year of life, when you are met with the first 2 years is actually, what's his name? There's one dude, Edtronic, I think it is. I forget his name, but he spells out, maybe I have my notes in front of me. Let's see. But he spells out how the perfect situation, scenario is not perfect parenting. That would be ridiculous to expect the parent to always be able to soothe you when you're crying, because sometimes they're going to be, in the bathroom or something. Who knows? There are things that happen. Obviously, we all know this. I'm not a parent, but I know every parent, and as even Daniel Siegel has pointed out, and any person who's in the mental health community will say, every parent will have done the best they could. The ones who did not go and tend to their trauma, of course, as Patrick Tiahan points out, they could have gone to get, their trauma looked at. So today we can all take ownership of unresolved trauma. Not everybody does. That's the whole point. 4D Collective is busy talking about saga stories with your oversoul. Here's a karmic, here's a soul contract, here's a devil, here's a demon, versus, no, they're all human babies. A lower or higher toroidal field doesn't mean you're special more or less. No, it actually has a lot of more to do with, are you aware of your nervous system and your embodied brain? So I can't find my notes, but this person, Edtronic, I believe, so there's a couple of very important people in the attachment research community that they share the ideal attunement for a child to build secure attachment is 1/3 of attuning to the child's needs and then repairing ruptures. Okay, and that's where that would equal a person who can easily, should, because that's the part, could, they don't. When we look at the world around us, at least from the Western, I'm from the West, I'm going to claim that I don't know all the world, that my subjective experience of me, the person here, channeler or not, mystic or not, that's the part, don't matter. I'm still going to be a representation of what I was able to experience. This is why any person who says I know everything to you is a bullshitter. Automatically, if you're a human being who has a brain, that is confident, you're going to be like, okay, cool, you're giving me your experience. I won't need to battle you about it. I'm going to know it intuitively. I don't need to make an assumption that you're trying to do. This is why there's a huge difference. Again, a 3-year-old with a whole heart. You ain't no one special. I ain't no one special. You're a person. You're using your mouth and you're using your brain. I may have all the weaknesses you want. You do too. I'm admitting it. Are you? Healthy self-worth. I am not superior and inferior. Don't come tell me that you know everything. And the mannerisms of the adoptive child are that, because they build their little breadcrumb trail all on their own. And that's why we get used to projection. Because anytime you're like, I'm having fun with the conversation, but you begin to engage with thoughts that are different than theirs, and they're like, no, like one dude, you can't confuse the science stuff with spiritual. It's not confusing. I'm bringing them together. Your brain apparently thinks they're being confused because you have an opinion, which in fact, I then said, okay, at a certain point, can I hear your opinion? Because I'm now curious, since you're showing me proof of why I shouldn't be speaking the way that I am, you rude. No, you're not a rude person. You're just another 2-year-old who doesn't know that you're proving something to somebody who was not even talking to you about anything. And it was even a nice interaction. Why? Because I'm not a person who's, oh my God, that person was so rude. No, they had something to share. I was curious, actually. That's why. So it's only when they're actually being rude that I personally will stand up. And that's when they're treating somebody else in a way that, and sometimes we get supported when we protect our loved ones, and sometimes we don't. And they project and they defend their codependent relationship. Because that's exactly the point of why I talked about Patrick Tiahan. Because in his Overcoming the Toxic Family System course, he talks about an in-depth look at the finishing business concept, so moving on, an in-depth look at separating and creating new values, and how one can create new healthy identity and security foundation. And he talks a lot about flashbacks and other aspects that can take place. Like for a childhood trauma survivor, handling pushy people, he has this role play stuff he does. I haven't watched any of them yet, but I'm like, wow, that's helpful. You know how I handle pushy people? I'm like, get the fuck away from me. And you know how people handle me when I'm pushy? They will do the same, and I'll be like, I'm so sorry. Or actually, I will already say, hey, guess what? I'm a pushy person. You're going to have to literally tell me to back off if you don't want me to be your friend. No, this is the difference between 3-year-olds who have whole hearts. We're like, we're all over this one. We're never going to leave. So you're going to, again, have to make it pretty clear that you don't want me around. Otherwise, I'm having fun with our differences, because there's not a low self-esteem person who needs to change you or take care of you. I'm not a martyr. I'm not superior. I'm not to blame myself or blame you. I'm not the 3-year-old that is not being seen or did not get met with that serious business of attachment. Okay, so on that note, a little bit of this and that in our last 1.5 minutes. The 3-year-old you is all implicit memory. If you don't have the ability to handle what comes up in a way of saying, wow, I have emotions, it's not bad or good. As Bessel van der Kolk points out, if you can sit with your sensation, that's already a great step. But projecting, so I'm going to use Patrick Tiahan again. He says in one of his shorts, here's what fight response looks like in the morning. And he's got some dude in a shower. It's him pretending, obviously. If Bill looks at me weird, I'm going to punch him in the face today at work. Okay, so we see movies, all of us do. And nobody needs to get out of entertainment business or being themselves, but understanding there's a difference here. And on that note, you will notice the difference. People who do yoga and mindfulness and meditation, it's because they're harnessing their ventral vagal state and they're using their prefrontal cortex, or they're sitting in silence and they're basically shutting off the default mode network that is actively scanning to see, am I safe to be myself or not? But that's since the first year of your life. And your brain's an anticipatory organ. So unless you learn how to be a human baby first, you're not going to be able to be the guru of you. And we'll do a take 3 for the continuation. But it's all love, and it's always about coming together. The sciences are not against spirituality and vice versa. These are subject matters that empower you, but you're the brain that assimilates them and then contemplates it, and your emotions are from here. So you also pay attention to the sensations that arise in your lifestyle choices and your mindset and a lot more. So tune in. Have a great day.